Welcome back to part 2. As you can see, I've had to glue a piece of wood into the neck pocket. The neck itself, if I turn it around, was there was a huge gap between the body and the neck. Now, loose neck in there, it's just not good. So I've glued a new piece in, and now I'm going to thin it down so we can have a nice snug fit with the neck and the body. You won't see this anyway because I'm going to be painting the whole top. So now it's time to make it look all nice. You need a nice sharp chisel, and let's get to it. It's difficult to do this and not get myself in the way of the camera. So at the moment I'm just taking small passes until I can get it down to the right general size, and then we can go from there. Have a look. I've still got a little way to go yet. Let's move this in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Not far. So what I might do now is swap over to this little fella. It's an acid etched file. Takes the wood off really well, and it holds its sharpness really well. I bought these, or a set of these, over at Crimson Guitars when I went over to see them, and they convinced me that these were brilliant, and I've got to say I've used them a lot now. It's probably some of my favourite files to go to. Very good, well worth the money. As you can see, try and keep it nice and straight so we don't get any bends. Using this finger to keep it close in, and obviously pressure on here, and that should keep it nice and straight. The trick to doing something like this is to do a little bit at a time. And you will get there eventually. You can always take stuff off, but putting stuff back on is a bit more tricky. Let's try that. That's much better. If I come out a little bit in the shot, you can now see, I hope, that now sits in there quite snug to the extent where I can actually pick it up. I couldn't do that before. If you can see, let's see if I can get the focus a bit better for you. That there is what I've got. It's a very, very thin slice there now, and that's what was preventing me from being able to pick it up before. That's a lot better. That's how it should be. So we can move on from there now. What we need to do now is just shape this bit into the guitar. Now that we've got our thickness, we can start to play with it a little bit and just get it back into the shape that it should be. That's nice. What I'll do is I'll just get some sharp edges off. much better. Now once that's painted you won't even know that that was there, which is what we're after. And now that that's done, I'm going to sand this back to probably 400 grit, make sure it's all nice and smooth. Same with the back, sand all that down nice and smooth to about 400, and then we'll make sure everything's as we want it to be before we put any paint on, and we'll put some primer coat on. I shall see you after doing the sanding, because that can be pretty boring to watch. Right, hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Les Paul Custom rebuild. As you can see, it's all been sanded back to about 400 grit. It's nice and smooth, nice and clean. I'm just going to give it a coat of primer. As you can see, I've not masked anything off. What I'm going to do is give it a good coating over with primer, and then I'll also use a razor blade to take it back and take it off the banding. Then when I spray the colour on, I'll do exactly the same again. Masking it would take a long time to actually cut down through, and I don't want to have any scratch marks or anything, so I'm going to do it that way with a razor blade. I'll show you that when we get to it, obviously, but for now let's get on with doing a little bit of priming. Make sure the can's well shaken, and I won't talk in this next bit because I'm going to be wearing a respirator, so you won't be able to hear me. But you will be able to see me. What we will do is now leave that for 10-15 minutes or so. Let cure off quickly, or flash. Then I'll be ready for another coat over the back. I'm doing the back first, obviously, because I want to find out if there's any points on there that's going to raise the grain, that kind of stuff. And I'd rather find that out on the back than do it on the front, where the finish is really important. So do it on the back first. As you could see, what I was doing was started off going across this way and then going up and down. That hopefully will give it a nice level coating, and it will stop this, what's known as striping. If you carry on doing it this way, you could end up with a thicker coat and then it'll end up striping all the time. Same if you only do this way. It's better to do it both ways. So we'll see you again in 10-15 minutes time. Okay, well, it's been a good half an hour now. It's all nice and smooth, but as you can still see some of the wood through. I think it's about time I gave it another coat. On with the respirator. Soak the tank. Just take you in for a close up. Let's have a look. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looking on the screen as a camera, I think that's just the light bulb that we've got in, giving that sort of colour to it. But yeah, that's quite a good coat on there. I'm happy with that one. So again, we'll give that a good sort of 15 minutes, half an hour to flash off, and we'll have a look at doing the sides and maybe even the front. Okay, well, the back, the guitar is all flashed off now and looking really nice, so it's time to concentrate on the front. As you can see, I've masked off the pins and the cavities, and we're ready for some primer, so let's give it a go. And again, that seems to have gone on quite well for the first coat. We'll give it another 15 minutes or so, let this flash off, and we'll give it another coat, and then we'll look at doing the sides. But really happy with where it's going at the moment. All that hard work sanding's really paid off, getting it nice and smooth. Obviously if you start with a nice finish, I've got a nice level finish, it helps with the painting. Yeah, quite pleased with that. So I will see you shortly. Hi guys, you've got my ugly mug in the shot now. Just while we're waiting for this to dry, just wanted to point out a few things. Obviously when you're spraying, doesn't matter whether it's primer, whether it's a top coat, whether it's enamels, water-based stuff, or even stains. You really do need to invest in one of these. This one cost me, I think it was about £30, I think, but it saves your lungs big time. You know, you've got these things inside you for a long time, don't wreck them. Get yourself one of these, get yourself some filters as well, some spare ones. They really will save a lot of problems in the long run. You probably see when I first started I was just spraying straight from the can. Then I remembered I've got this trigger. These triggers are brilliant. It's so much easier to use. You don't, if you're spraying a lot, just pushing down on the nozzle with that finger can really make it ache. If you get one of these, they're about, I think about £4 or £5 from eBay. Spray can trigger. It's so much easier to use. You can get so much better flow with it. Really good to get. And patience. Don't be too quick to move on to the next coat. Let it dry. Even though the top coat might look dry, you can guarantee what's underneath isn't. So it really needs to cure right the way through. You know, if this is going to be my last coat, then I would probably leave for primer coat a good couple of hours before thinking about putting on your actual colour coat. If you're going to be coating it with another coat of primer, 10-15 minutes, it will still be tacky underneath. Put another coat over the top. But when you're going to move on to your colour coats, make sure it's perfectly dry. So good, like I say, 2-3 hours. But you know, go out, go to the pub, go shopping, keep the wife happy. Definitely keep the wife happy. Let it go off. Have a look, see if there's any flaws, see if you need to go back over it with some sandpaper, take any roughness out. At this stage now, this is where you'll see any divots, any little dents, any little marks that you didn't take out the first time. It's now you need to go in and clean those marks up, because if you don't, when you put your colour coat on, you really will see marks and scratches. It's a lot easier to take them off now and put another coat of primer on than it is to leave them and have to take off all your colour coat and start from scratch again. This is going to dry, and then I'm going to be doing the sides. Got a bit of a plan for the top coat on this. I've seen something on YouTube, really like the idea, so I've invested in a few bits and pieces, namely an airbrush kit, and I think I'm going to give this a bit of a go. It's going to hopefully have like a snakeskin effect. Obviously never done it before, so it's going to be interesting. It could end up a complete mess, but hey, you know, why not? Let's give it a go. You've probably seen that YouTube video for yourselves. If not, I'll see if I can put the link in the description, and then you can go and have a look to see what it looks like, and hopefully mine will turn out something similar. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on the back yet. I might just leave that as a plain colour. We will see. Anyway, I'm going to go in and make myself a cup of tea, and then we'll come back again when this is dry and look at doing the sides. Okay, welcome back. The top part is now cured, so now we're going to give the sides a bit of a spray. So I'll just wind this out a little bit, and then you can see where we're going with it. So it's the same process as before. Just get in, spray different angles, and get a decent cover on with the mask. Obviously I don't want to go too thick too soon, otherwise with all these different angles we're going to start getting with runs. So just nice thin coat. We can come back to it and put more on. I do it this way because I haven't got a stand. I haven't got anything above me that I can actually hang the guitar from, so I tend to do it like this, let it dry. Then once I'm happy with this one, I'll flip it over so I can get the other sides. Hopefully in the new year I'm looking at possibly getting a shed out in the back garden, give myself a whole lot more room, because my garage is like a lot of other people's. It's very tight on space once you get everything in. So fingers crossed next year you'll be able to see me in a bit of a bigger space and get all my tools where I want them. And I can build in things for holding guitars when I spray them and things like that. But for now, that's as far as we're going to go until this bit's dry. Then we just carry the process on. See you in a minute. Okay, time for another coat, I think. This is what I mean by patience. Right, I'm going to leave that one to dry. And I think that's going to be a little while. So I don't want to turn that one over and sit it down on this until that is completely dry. So it's not going to be a 10-15 minute job. It's going to be left for a good hour or so, by which time, looking at my watch, it's going to be time for a beer down at the pub. It's jam night tonight, so I'll go down there, see all my friends, watch some great music, and generally relax before I have to go to work tomorrow. So we'll try and continue this again maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. So this is going to get a real good curing off. So see you in a couple of days.